Hello all, I am Dr. Ravichandra Kulkarni, HOD, Department of ECE, MIT Mysore. So today we are here to discuss about a subject on management, and it goes by the name Technological Innovation Management and Entrepreneurship, coded as 18ES51. We will see what are the course objectives in the course. This course will enable you guys to understand the basic skills of management, understand the need for entrepreneurs and their skills, identify the management functions and social responsibilities, understand the ideation process, creation of business model, feasibility study and sources of funding. First module in this course is management and planning. So we will be discussing some aspects of management and some aspects of planning. So, what is management? Management is the art of getting things done through the people. A manager is the one who contributes to organizational goals indirectly by directing effort of other and not by performing the task himself. So, it is easier to do things by yourself. You can do n number of things, but it is very difficult to communicate properly and get things done by the people. So that is where your managers come into picture, and you need to know a lot of basics of management in order to get things done smoothly, which is a skill as well as an art and as well as a science. We will discuss about it in the upcoming topics. By book, what is the definition of management? According to George R. Terry, he defines management as a process consisting of planning, organizing, actuating and controlling, performed to determine and accomplish the objective by the use of people and resources. So as much as resources, say you give people many things, but if you do not teach them how to use it, then it is of no use. Meanwhile, you have many people and you do not have things or resources to accomplish a particular job, then that cannot be done. Say you give a log to a iron blacksmith, then he cannot do anything with it. So similarly, if you give iron to a woodcutter, then it is of no use to him unless he uses it as an axe. So what is planning? Planning means that managers think of their actions in advance. Anything you think beforehand, you can call it as a plan. So it can be as simple as taking a particular bus or a particular cab or going to a particular movie. So if you are thinking about it in advance and putting up steps to accomplish it, then that constitutes for a plan. So what is organization? Organization means that managers coordinate the human and material resources of the organization. So any organization, when we call say a governmental organization or a non-governmental organization, we tend to think that it is a structure or a building. It's not just that. So it is people as well as resources properly put under different headings to accomplish a particular task and to get things done smoothly. So that is what is meant by organization. And if someone is doing a particular thing by categorizing it into different steps, we call him as a good organizer, right? Actuating. Actuating means to make things such that it motivates and directs subordinates. Controlling, so once things are put into action, they need to be controlled as well. Say for example, traffic controller or traffic needs to be controlled. It's things put in motion in an organized way through different signals and different paths, but it needs to be controlled as well. So similarly, your organization needs some controlling aspects, and that is what is part of management. What are different functions of management per se? If we go with the book, so that says that planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling. So these are major functions of the management, and as it says, it is well accepted functions of management. So what is planning again? If we go through it, and planning is a function that determines in advance what should be done. So it is a process of deciding the business objectives. So if we go with the start of a business, then the business objectives have to be thought of. What should be the business objective and charting out the methods of attaining those objectives. So that would constitute the business plan. So planning is done for every division. So once you start the business or a company is set up and it is divided into different divisions and departments, then each division, department or subunit needs to have a plan of its own. Next is, it is something which is performed by managers at all levels, top, middle and supervisory. They need to do a sort of planning activity per se at all levels. So the managers need to be well planned, what we can say. Plans made by top management generally, they cover periods as long as 5 or 10 years. So they are generally called as long-term plans, or the managers are called long-term planners. So, and by first and middle line managers, they cover much shorter periods, say day-to-day basis, weekly basis or monthly basis, that those executive plans are done by the lower level management. What is organizing? So organizing is to organize a business. As I said, the resources and the people need to be divided or put up under different divisions to make them well functional or to make them optimized way of functioning. So human organization and material organization. As I said, if you give people, the right material or right things, only then the right objective is obtained. So if you give wrong people the right things and the right people the wrong things, so that will lead to not so right objectives met. So once the managers have established objectives and developed plans to achieve them, they must design and develop a human organization. That is, all the people, human resources are to be divided into different divisions and should be able to carry out those plans successfully. Right? After organizing, we get into controlling and staff. Before controlling, you need to pick up people to for specific division. So that is called as staffing. So function involved in building the human organization, that is to recruit people as well as to put them into the right roles. That is where your staffing comes into picture. In staffing, the manager attempts to find the right person for each job and fixes a manager's responsibility to recruit and make certain that there is enough manpower available to fill all positions of organization, and then make things better and get accomplished a lot of things. So it also involves training of future manager and suitable system for compensation. That is, how much a particular person with a particular skill set has to be paid. Even that includes into the subdivision or function of staffing of the managers. Right? So going ahead, once we have recruited people and we have made the division of labor as well as we have fixed the compensation, it comes what is to be done. That is, the person who has been recruited has to be directed towards doing a specific task so that the objective of that division or that company is achieved. As said, the manager explains to his people what they have to do and helps them to do it to the best of their ability. In directing, we can divide another 3 sub-functions, that is communication, leadership and motivation. Right? Communicating something clearly is as much important as the other all aspects of directing, that is leadership and motivation. It is the process of passing information and understanding from one person to another. If you have done everything and you have not communicated properly to another person or to the manager or to the stakeholder, then it is as good as you have not done it. So leadership is the next point or sub-function of directing, which involves that the manager guides and influences the work of his subordinates. That is, the manager, he himself does the work as well as motivates the subordinates to do the work. That is what leadership is all about. And then motivation, that is what motivates people, what is the reason behind someone to do some work. There may be many reasons for people to do work. So the manager or the directing staff has to ensure that the staff or the people are well motivated to accomplish a particular job. There are 2 types of motivations, as it says, non-financial and financial. Generally, financial motivation is common in all the companies because people at the first place they come to the work to get financial benefit or to assist their living. So non-financial motivation is something which gives them satisfaction, which makes them to do more than what is defined. So that is your non-financial motivation. So controlling. So once you have been given a direction, so you need to be controlled as well, right? So at different places you need to have the control factors so that the directed work or the work which is being carried out is in the right path. So that the manager must ensure that everything is in conformity with the plans adopted and the instruction issued and the principles established are also well within the conformity of the plans. So controlling function of management involves three elements: establishing standards of performance, measuring current performance and comparing it against the established standards, and taking action to correct any performance that does not meet those standards. So that involves your controlling. So once something is set as a performance standard, it needs to be monitored, that is the performance has to be measured and compared against the established standard. For example, we measure 1 kg of rice. So first a standard weight is fixed as 1 kg and then whenever the measurement is done, it is done against that standard and a bit of addition or deletion is done in order to make it exactly as 1 kg. So analogously the same thing has to be done with the performance of people, that is they need to be measured against a standard set of works and then whether it is accomplished or not, and then what is to be added and what is to be subtracted in their work nature, that has to be ascertained. So that is part of your controlling function of management. So going further, we have covered all the functions of management and we come across different levels of management. So now you might have seen in different companies there are different levels of leaders, or you will be hearing that the CEO of Google has come up with a new product, or the chief communication officer has come up with some other product or some other information, the chief correspondent of a company or the general manager of General Electric has come up with a particular announcement. So you might have heard these in your day-to-day life. So what are those exactly? So those are titles given to different management professionals, and if taken overall an company or an organization, we can divide the organization structure into 3 different levels of management. So the practice has been that the lower management is considered whoever comes under the title of senior supervisor or frontline supervisors or team leads. If we want to take into software domain, then we have project managers, team leads, program managers. They all come under the lower and middle level of management. So the department heads, say you have a procurement division, you have a delivery division, you have sales division. So all that come under the middle level management, and VPs, that is vice presidents and chief executives, chairman, board of directors, they all come under top level of management. Each level of management comes up with the associated tasks or responsibilities what those management people or the people in that management level need to accomplish or are generally responsible for. As said, there are various managerial positions. So top management, middle management and first line of supervisors. So as said, the top management consists of chairman, directors, company president, vice president, CEOs. These are the people who make policies, that is the long-term planners. As we discussed earlier, the long-term plans, generally 5 to 10 years. Say if Google CEO Sundar Pichai comes and makes an announcement saying that 5 years down the line, AI will be taking over all the activities around in the technological world. That's why Google is going to take up AI-based products they will be launching soon. So then that is a long-term plan, because he could foresee what is the next big thing in technology and what Google needs to do. And then he percolates that thought into his subordinates, his colleagues, that is the board of directors, and then that is percolated to the vice presidents and different program managers, project heads, team leads, software engineers and junior software engineers. So and then everything again is aligned towards that particular goal which has been set by the top level management. So the middle management, that is finance manager, sales manager, marketing manager, personnel manager, they make sure that the top level management's objectives or the plans are well aligned, and the work which is being done at the lower level of the organization is all oriented towards that particular long term plan. So they are just basically one step above the workers, the entry level workers or the software engineers, what we call in the software domain, just they are one level up. So that is your lower level management. So going ahead, what are the different roles of a manager? So we have seen what are the different levels of manager. Now we see what is the different roles a specific manager can handle. So we have seen the functions of management, different levels of management, and now we are discussing what are the different roles a single manager needs to accomplish so that his team or the team which he is managing is able to achieve what its objectives are. So one of the very important roles of the manager is interpersonal roles. As the word indicates, it is related to people. Interpersonal. So it is in between people, two or more people generally, that is the manager and the colleagues, or amongst the subordinates, that is amongst the colleagues itself. He acts as a figurehead. What does figurehead mean? The word itself says that he is the figurehead. For that team he is the head, and he symbolizes or represents that particular team. So whatever he do or he says generally is taken as the opinion of that team or opinion of that particular set of people. So and he needs to motivate, he needs to be an example to his team. So that is where your figurehead related role comes in, right? He has to perform all his duties of a ceremonial nature, like greeting, visiting dignitaries, attending the wedding of an employee. That is, he represents that particular team and in turn the organization. So he might have to deal with customer as well. So leader. So the another, what we saw in the first particular diagram, that the leader comes under again interpersonal roles. And what is a leader? As you know, one who leads is generally called as leader, one who can be an example. So that is what a leadership role is for a manager. He needs to have that. He must also try to reconcile the individual needs of the employees with the goals of the organization. Say for example, someone wants to do something really great in the field of engineering, that too particularly in electronics engineering, then the leader or the manager should make sure that he does it with all willingness and contributes towards the goals of the organization by accomplishing his personal task or personal objectives as well. That is liaison. So we have liaison role. In this role, every manager must cultivate contacts outside his vertical chain of command. That is, he acts as an interface between one department to another department, one colleague to another colleague, team and the management, team and the customer. So he acts as a liaison officer as well. Liaison means interfacing, that is, he collects and delivers information between the two sides. Informational roles. So we have covered interpersonal roles. Now let us look at what are the informational roles of the manager, right? So he acts as a monitor. What is a monitor? Monitor is generally one which monitors something or scans something or does a particular surveillance of a particular act, right? So he manages to scan his environment for information, interrogate his liaison contact and his employees. So he talks between different people and tries to get the information on what is happening in the team, what is happening in the organization, what is happening about a particular task, job, etc., and keeps following it up. So that is one of the informational roles of the manager. He is a disseminator. So it is a responsibility of the manager to disseminate information to the different stakeholders within the organization or within a particular team, different members of a particular team. So which is his responsibility, and he has to pass it on to all the stakeholders, including the subordinates who would otherwise have no access to it. Next is spokesman. So you might have seen that in some organizations there is a particular person who comes and speaks to the public in general, and he is called a spokesperson of that particular party or that particular organization. Similarly, the manager is a spokesman for his team or the team which he manages. So he will be speaking on behalf of the team and will be always looking at the welfare of the team and representing the opinions of the team to different stakeholders who interact with that particular team. That is majorly the superiors and other parts of the organization. He also communicates the performance of a company to shareholders in specific cases and the rules and responsibilities to his subordinates. The next set of roles of a manager is entrepreneurial role, what we can say. That is, manager has an attitude of entrepreneurship and tries to do something new, tries to innovate and tries to proactively look out for innovation and improvement in his organization. That is one particular nature of or role of manager, which is very important to see progress in the organization. If a particular person does not has that nature of having entrepreneurial attitude, then it is very difficult to see any change in the organization, which will slowly become a bit decadent in nature. He is a disturbance handler. In this role, the manager must seek solutions for various unanticipated problems like a strike, loom, a major customer may go bankrupt, a supplier may renege on his contract, that is go back on his contract, and so on. So any sort of disturbance which is unanticipated, that is not thought of, that has to be handled when it occurs by the manager. This is one of the decisional roles of the manager. He needs to be ready for such things. So any disturbance which comes in front of the organization, that has to be handled. Say for example, strike of the employees, and a particular customer may not value the contract and may just say I am not going further with it. So in such cases, the manager needs to handle the situation, handle the disturbance and smooth trail out of that particular issue. Next is resource allocator. Say a particular organization has different resources and there are a set of people for various resources. So a particular resource has to be allocated properly. Say for example, a team needs 3 software engineers out of 5. So the manager needs to decide which 3 engineers would be best suited for that particular job and need to allocate those engineers to that particular project or job. Next is negotiator. So the manager is sort of bargain person of the team. That is, he tries to get as much as for the team welfare, as well as he tries to get good from his team to the customer as well, keeping the interest of the organization, keeping the interest of the customers. So he has to resolve many internal problems like trade agreements, strikes and grievances of employees within the organization, as well as deal with the outside world. So in that sense, he would be a negotiator, a very important role of an organization, of an manager. So next we will be discussing about various managerial skills, that is management being a challenging job and which requires different set of skills, conceptual skills, human relation skills and technical skills, and we will be discussing the details of this in the next session. So till then, please recapitulate on what has been discussed and see the video again and put your questions across to us, and we will try to come up with answers and in the discussion box. So that's it for today. Thank you.